Welcome to the Awaken the Awesome podcast with your host, Bodhijede. This is Awaken the Awesome, a podcast where we take a moment to acknowledge that we are all in this together. Through enlightening conversations and personal insights, we like to connect with individuals just like you who show us how they are bringing a little bit of awesomeness in their individual journeys. Our hope is to encourage you to always keep pushing and to stay awesome along the way. Before we get into it and kick off this third year of the Awaken the Awesome podcast, the first episode of 2020, I just wanted to take a quick second to express my most sincere thanks to you, the listeners, part of this amazing tribe of awesomeness that have stuck around after all this time and supported, commented, downloaded, shared, and shown immense love and encouragement. I do not take a single one of you for granted, and here's my renewed commitment to keep working as hard as I can to keep making this podcast the vehicle for awesomeness that I want it to be. Now, with that said, on with the show. A lot of people have pushed me to reach out and have this next guest on the program. If there's one thing I've learned over the course of these exchanges and amazing opportunities, it's that you do not force the universe. You have to trust it. As long as your intentions remain true, you realize that everything eventually does happen in due time. This next conversation was a perfect example of this very simple fact. Makeda is one of those incredibly genuine individuals that you'd be wise not to try to define. Instead, you're better off doing the natural human thing and just take in the fact that even though you might not know much about each other, these differences are exactly where the beauty and innocence of the human spirit lie. As a certified yoga teacher, poet, artist, and mother, Ama is definitely the right person to speak to as we're all getting caught up in this whirlwind of goal setting, redefining ourselves with the new year, new you in full effect. I wanted to pull the brakes a bit and connect with someone who, in her own words, has never once had the sense to question who she was or how she should be. Someone who, from a very young age, had the maturity to own her sense of self and practice ongoing acceptance. Something I believe more people should put into practice. A really humbling and powerful exchange with a truly amazing being. So let's get into this. Awaken the Awesome, episode 107 with Ama Makeda. Here we go. But in all honesty, it is truthfully a very truthful and very sincere honor to have you on the Awaken the Awesome podcast. Ama, thank you so much for being here. For me, it's a genuine pleasure to connect with someone who has such an intimate connection with her being, with her spirit, and all aspects of energy and, living out your personal truth, every day in every way, through
Indeed.
Whether through your paintings, through your art, through your poetry, through your amazing and, dare I say, very testy yoga postures. We're definitely going to talk about that, but all in foremost,
sure.
Thank you. And of course, I want to celebrate you, of course, on your wonderful new chapter. Congrats on the new baby.
Thank you so much.
It was a celebration throughout all the interwebs. Everybody, all your fans, everybody saw that. I'm like, oh my God, such a wonderful chapter. As a father of two young children myself, I can only understand what a true, amazing chapter that is. So I want to celebrate you for that, for everything that represents.
Thank you so much.
And
it does indeed represent a whole lot.
It's an amazing thing. So, as we're recording, this episode is probably going to come out, probably going to be the first one of 2020. So just opening up to, people coming in and starting into the new year as these things do, making resolutions, looking at goals and planning and, just trying to do better for themselves. How do you feel about New Year's resolutions? Is that something for you? Is that a big deal for you?
I don't know. Not really. You see what I mean? It's like, to me, it's not a question of making a resolution for the new year. I'm always questioning myself and, trying to make resolution throughout the year, So it's not something that I reserve for the new year. Because I'm not the type of person that really focuses on this Roman calendar that was given to us. You see what I mean?
Definitely.
So to me, every day is a chance to grow, So forget January 1st.
It's so true.
Every single day is a first, Every single day is a new day. It's a new sun. It's a new chapter, So
because it's so
I
true.
think if we wait for the new year, the new year is not guaranteed.
Every day is a gift. Every day is a
Yes.
gift, and it's something that's so limiting, in my opinion. And throughout all these
Yeah.
conversations, I realize that, and I'm sure you can resonate with that. It's every day is a new opportunity. Of course, everybody has
Exactly.
different circumstances, but we all have this new opportunity, which is comes with the new sun, with the new day, and you need to make
Exactly.
it happen. And
Exactly.
has that something been something you've wrestled with, or is that something that you've been living with for, the resolution, the confidence of the new day?
I think I've been living with that, for as long as I can remember. I never remember following the trend of the New Year resolution. So it's the principle of my own life. I've always been the type that doesn't do things like the general mass.
Mm-hmm.
So I always try to get out of of this common thinking, of common doing. So like I said, for as long as I can remember, I do things my way.
It's definitely been something that a lot of people have gravitated towards, whether through your artwork, whether through your yoga sessions, whether through your
Hmm.
immense energy, through your powerful poetry. It's something that a lot of people resonate with in regards to how you identify, have someone who, first of all, knows exactly who she is, both in mind,
Hmm.
body, and spirit, and someone who doesn't mind, celebrating that self. I'm using the capital S, that
Indeed.
self, manifesting her self to the world. And I'm wondering why that bothers some people sometimes, because as you said, you like to put yourself outside of the mold. But the second
Yeah.
someone does that, you're identified as either a revolutionary, a
Yeah.
troublemaker. And I've
Or
wondered
a
how you've
non-tolerant.
exactly. And I've always wondered how you wrestle with it. How do you, speak out into the world in that regard?
Um, I just don't focus on it. You
You
see
don't.
what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I truly don't focus on it. To the point that I don't even hear it. I don't even see it. I don't even sense it. I just leave it away. It's probably there now that you're telling me about it. It's like I have to tap into another part of my brain to even answer.
Nice. That means I'm asking
But
good
it's
questions.
exactly, exactly. But it's really not something that I allow to enter my sphere of energy. As
That
simple as that.
That
You know.
is something that, as of late, and it's something I've gotten through a lot of the comments and a lot of the feedback I get through all of these conversations that we have on the program, is the fact that a lot of people wrestle with just taking the leap. I don't even call it a leap. It's like, why is it so hard for you to be you? Okay, if you want
Hmm.
to just be yourself, for some reason, seems to be something that a lot of more and more people are afraid of. As in, like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm not about this job, or I'm not about this relationship, or I'm not about this toxicity that's around me. Well, leave, change, decide. And for some reason, for people are afraid to change. And I'm
Yeah.
always wrestling to wonder, in your experience, if you can just help me out here, why is that? Why are we so afraid to just make that step, or make that leap, or make that switch?
I think a lot of people define themselves, according to what society or family or loved ones define them. And they're so afraid to come out of that definition, because they feel the fear of being rejected, the fear of being alone, or, being alone and exploring this aloneness. People are very afraid of that. People are afraid of the dark. They're afraid um, to find something that will be too big for them, to embrace. Yet again, in the dark, there's so much to find about oneself, and I think that's basically it. It's that fear, you know. If one doesn't feel comfortable being alone, walking in the darkness, then there's a lot that you will not find out about yourself. Then you'll have to wait probably another lifetime or 10 other lifetimes to find. It's unfortunate, but that's probably the law of life also.
It's part of growth. It's definitely part of
Yes,
growth. And I'm
yes.
just using, as I do often, as I'm using myself as a perfect example. We were talking about this just before the recording. As for me,
Hmm.
as the past few years for me, one of the things, and I admitted this to my wife earlier in the year, was just me
Hmm.
taking inventory. Is the fact I realized I had a lot of pent up anger.
Hmm.
Because as outgoing as I am, I had to wrestle with the fact that, maybe, I'm not always happy, joy as I would want to think that I am. And sometimes, you need to look at yourself in the mirror. You need to
Yeah.
take ownership of how you feel. And you need to have
Yes.
those very harsh conversations. And in your
Of course.
experience and, in your workshops and, through your own connections with your spirit and helping people understand, just to face that inner mirror, how can we help them, to have that inner conversation? Do you have any practical tips or just some guidance to provide?
As a yoga teacher and a spiritualist, I would say is um, just really to find tools like, I would say meditation, yoga as a yoga practitioner.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that help you shed some layers so you can accept that, there are things that you're going to find out about yourself that might not be so bright, but yet again, you need to find out about them before you can address them, you know. So yes, it's about letting go of anything society set for yourself, and accept that, okay, this is not you. You is beyond all of that. um, it's just like if we look at the difference between men and women,
Mm-hmm.
most of the difference someone would state are different that are defined by society, but they're not biologically present. You see what I mean?
Wow.
So
Okay.
a lot of things are just definition of society. So once unless you accept to quiet the mind and allow yourself to enter that darkness to find your true self, then you'll be always blurred by those society definition. You know, so personally, this is what I teach, especially when I get to have a full retreat, because in a yoga class, an hour and a half is not enough to teach that, although I try to state a few things during the class. But
Mm-hmm.
when I have a full 3-day retreat, this is where I love to take my students, or I don't like to call them my students because I learn from them also. You see
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? But the people that I'm facing, I get the time to help them disconnect, and I hope I do a good job by doing so.
So what I want to piggyback on that. So when you're having, well, those sessions and those retreats,
Yeah.
so for you, it's not just you coming into this space as a teacher, but there's, if I understand correctly, there's an exchange of thought, of emotions, of energy. So you're giving as much as you're receiving from them, if I understand correctly.
Yes, yes, it's always that, not just in the retreat, also in a class,
Mm-hmm.
to me, it's always, receiving and giving, whatever. I never consider myself higher than someone else, more knowledgeable than someone else, because when you look at someone, it's more than the physical present, it's more than the physical manifestation, this soul in that person comes from very far. They might not be aware of it. You see what I mean? But
Mm-hmm.
I have to be aware of it in order to learn and to grow, you know. So oftentimes the people don't understand that there's this exchange happening, but me, I am totally and fully aware of that.
That takes a lot of empathy and sensibility towards the human condition.
Yes, indeed.
Oh, wow. Well, I'm
Indeed.
saying that because, again, just making work on myself. And again, this is only probably within the past year. I've been doing some reading and again, a lot of inner conversation, lots of work on myself because I can't, just like you, I can't pretend to actually want to help and to serve if I don't understand myself. You can't give what you don't have. And for
Exactly.
me, and this is something that's why I really want to have you on because you definitely understand these conversations and concepts of exchange of energy. Something as basic as, as of the past year, when you're in a workplace, so just take a basic example that a lot of people can relate to. When you're in a workplace and you're talking about someone else's negativity making you ill or irritating you, it's not just some certain camps that you can actually be actually sick of the environment. The negativity is so toxic. The word exists for that reason. It actually
Mm-hmm.
affects you to a deeper level. And those are
Yeah,
something people need to be, you can't just brush that off. And that's something people you need to protect your space. And
of
people
course.
don't pay enough attention to that.
Exactly, exactly. This is where the work needs to happen. It's not about, pushing that person away or making that person feel that, he's the reason why you're sick or anything, but it's really, getting better at protecting your energetic sphere, you know. In spirituality, we'll call that a Merkaba. A
Hmm.
Merkaba is that sphere where, where you're able to keep your peace, your serenity. You're able to center yourself no matter what chaos is around you, or no matter what negativity, as you referred to, is around you, you know. So yes, it's always important not to point the finger.
But it's so, for me, it was really hard. You talked about stillness a little while ago, and for me,
Yeah,
and something a lot of people are going to come back at you and say like, but it's like, I'm so distracted. I'm thinking about these bills and these kids, and I need to be able for work, and there's this project I need to finish, and I didn't finish writing this blog, and because even 10 minutes, because I'm trying to do the 10-minute meditation thing, but it's so hard to
yeah,
not to be here, to be in this moment. It is so easy to be said, but to do it, it is so, there's so many distractions, and it is so hard. And when you realize that you have to take 10 minutes to focus on yourself, it is so much hard work. Sometimes I
yeah.
wonder how you do it.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's gonna be hard, and you have to expect it for it to be hard. But trust me, it's not gonna be hard for 2 years, for 5 years, for 10 years. You see what I mean? You
Hmm.
just need to accept that things are not easy. You know, when you start something, it's never easy. You know, you can sit down in 10 minutes and have 10,000 thoughts, you know, cross your mind. Accept it. You know, accept, allow them to come, allow them to go, you know. Then you'll be surprised the day that you master it, you wouldn't even notice when it happened. You know, it wasn't always easy for me, although I would say I have in French you would say a predisposition, because as a child I was what you call, they used to call me a vagueness. You know?
No
So
kidding.
yeah, yeah, because there's a lot of things that people cared about I never cared about. You know, I would say I had that predisposition, but in terms of stilling the mind, you know, I had to practice, you know, I had to accept that I'm not a master, you know. And when it happened, I didn't, you know, I'm still learning. I'm still, you know, trying to better my stillness, you know. I'm not sitting here saying that I've mastered it. I'm a total guru in that field, you know. But I'm still on it. It's just about never giving up, because yourself is what you have and what you will always have. So you just can't give up on yourself.
It's something that comes with a lot of humility that we have to notice. And I'm taking this on a broader scale in terms of our people and our country and all the ruckus that's been happening as of late. And it's something I have
Mm,
to admire in terms of both resilience, because I talk to my family, my friends over there from time to time over the WhatsApps and stuff. And it's amazing that, you know, everybody just has the same mindset. You know what? We're going to get through it. You know what?
yeah,
Tomorrow's another day. You know what?
yeah,
Tonight
yeah,
we're fine. Tonight we're fine. Don't listen to what you're hearing on all the channels and everything, but we're fine. And that
yeah,
comes from a very powerful sense of spirit. Like when I'm thinking the spirit, it's been something that's so admirable, because you're sitting over here talking about traffic while there are other things going on in the world. And that is
yes,
so admirable. And
yeah,
that's something that I cannot I'll only but tip my hat to you guys, because it's something that is so beautiful to understand that, you know what? Let's get through today. Let's deal
yeah,
with today.
because that's all you have, you know, the now, you know. Not even today. Sometimes you just have to focus on getting through the next hour. You know, you don't know what's gonna happen tonight. You see what I mean? At this point, this is where we are. We are in Haiti, you know, and people that are living with this mindset are people also that know that it has to be that bad in order for us to rise higher, you know. But not everyone is strong enough to embrace that mindset. You know, you have a lot of people that just gave up and left the country, and that has been happening for years. You know, what is happening today is not a new situation. It's just the same thing repeating itself. And the more people, the more it's happening, the more people are giving up. You know, but the more people are giving up, the more people you have. You also have some people that are hopeful, that know that things will be better. You know,
That speaks of
as for
love.
as for myself, you know, I've traveled the world, and I don't think you know, Haiti is where I feel good. Yeah.
Can you
You know,
imagine from all the
yeah,
places that you've seen, but the heart still keeps bringing you back home?
yeah. It's crazy. You know, I've lived 8 years recently in 8 months, sorry, recently in Brazil, and at some point I was like, I have to get back home. I just can't stay here. You know, I have to get back to my chaos.
You know, it comes with a familiarity, I guess, because then, it's all about, a lot of people would probably tell you you're crazy, but I totally understand it. My sister's the same way. My parents are the same way. You know what?
Yeah,
It's our chaos, but it's our little chaos. It's something that we know and love. And, like you said, if we keep giving up on it, so what do you expect is going to happen? It's just going to keep, it's going to keep being more of the same. And we need to
yeah,
band together and make things happen.
true.
Um, what else do I
No,
want to ask you? Just on the parenting front, you have a new baby. I've got two just going on strong. What
yeah.
are what are your dreams? Because for me, I keep telling myself I have no idea what I'm doing. I have a little girl myself, and every single day I'm looking at her. Now she's so tall, and I'm like, what am I doing? It's like they're all over the place. And on a deeper level, I'm like, I have my own fears. I have my own reservations. I have my own insecurities, and I'm trying really hard not to layer that on her.
Yeah.
How do I do that? Because
Wow.
there's so many fears, there's so many insecurities, there's so many doubts, and even though my
Hmm.
wife just keeps telling me you're doing your best, sometimes
Yeah.
I'm afraid for the next generation because every single time, that's what you do as your parents. You want to do the best you can. And
Yeah.
coming into your new chapter, I'm wondering, what are your dreams? What are your reservations? What are your fears for your little one?
This is something that I worked a lot on, and this is why at the very beginning I was saying, yeah, having that my second child was really a blessing because we waited over a decade to have him. So I am a strong believer as a spiritualist that these things are things that you work on prior to even conceiving your child,
Mm-hmm.
because from the sperm implementing to the thoughts nourishing and bringing the tools that this sperm need to grow into a whole being. All these things are everything that is in your thought is getting encrypted into this new being. You see what I mean? So
Mm-hmm.
um, I'm the type of person, a lot of people that know me well will refer to me as a fearless person. So
Mm-hmm.
I try to just take all of that out of my mind and, really, um, um, how would I say, nourish this fearlessness, even before, conceiving that child. So I don't feel like I'm transferring any fear to my son. I probably did with my first son since I was so young. I was 21 when I had him.
Oh,
He's
wait.
14 now. Um, and I do see the effect of that, although he's still such a great man now. You know, but with this time around, I still don't feel any fear being passed on into my son. It's because fear is so attached to what society expects from us.
Right.
Um, it's so attached to, okay, you're going to school, you have to finish school, you have to have good grades, you have to go to university, you have to pay your debt, you have to get a good job, you have to this, you have to that. What if you have none of those expectations from this soul that already knows what he came to do?
That
What
is
if you
such a
accept that
powerful
that
thing.
soul is your teacher? What if you accept that that soul comes from a divine source and knows his divine path? you know and this is exactly how I'm experimenting this whole. And this is why this birth of this particular soul is so special to me, because I'm not expecting anything from him. I just expect him to know what he came to do here on this realm, and just guide him with whatever he has to do. I have no expectation of you have to go to school, you have to have good grades, you have to go to university. All this is BS. All this is imprisonment. you know, and it's just not. I'm not going that way no more.
But it's true. It is so true, especially from how we grew up,
Yeah,
because my own personal story is all about I had to be a doctor. to follow after my mom.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had to finish
Mm.
college. Really? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? And you're always questioning it, because if you can't relate to it from your own perspective, because every generation can only build on what they know. So for
Mhm.
my generation, the last analog generation, a doctor, lawyer,
Mm.
engineer,
Yeah.
working in a bank. I'm not throwing shade. I'm just saying that's how I grew up, and I totally understand
Yeah.
what you're going through, because right now, going from this perspective into raising my kids as North Americans, but I also have to understand this is something I don't know. You don't know, because this person is not you, and you have
Mhm.
no right to layer me with your insecurities and
Exactly.
your toxicity and your doubts and your fears.
Mhm. Mhm.
Me,
Yes.
you're right. You're so right. You're so right. You just threw me for a loop right there. You're so right. I have no right to do that to her. I have no
Yeah.
right. My
Just
job is to
just
keep them
trust.
alive.
Yeah, just trust that, she's born with this, this intelligence, um, this etheric intelligence. And the more you believe in it, the more she will manifest it. As simple as that.
Hmm.
I remember growing up, my mom had a lot of fear, and it took her a long time to just surrender and just accept that, okay, this is a particular soul. She will probably not follow my path, but if I, encourage her in whatever path she was meant to follow, then she will flourish, much more than, the path that I expected for her to follow. So
Okay.
it took her a long time, but now I see her, and it just takes out that burden off your back, you know, because a parent is also just a human being. You're not supposed to be the super this, super that. You see what I mean? You're just a human being, just like this chap.
Accept who
And
you are.
maybe the soul, exactly, accept who you are, and maybe the soul of that child is even older than you. So mete call to pity.
Wow. I really want to speak on the matter of something I'm pretty sure you're about. It's a deep subject, but we're going to talk about it. Because again, a lot of people ask this question, even though you don't have a definite answer, but run with it as you will. The matter
Yeah.
of purpose, because you talk about living your dream, you talk about living your personal truth. That's something that you share throughout everything. And even with this wonderful conversation, I feel your energy and I feel your presence. And it's something that a lot of people ask, okay, how do I know what I'm here to do? Because for some reason, on a deeper philosophical, spiritual, metaphysical level, everybody has, for some reason, that quest towards the mystery that is their inner self and knowing what this self has been brought onto this earth to do. How do we
Yeah.
help them, find out the clues, even to nudge them in the right direction towards that, finding out that mystery? Can you have some
Um,
light on that one?
I don't think I can properly answer that because I do know for sure that some people will never figure it out, and this is also the natural law of things. You
Mm-hmm.
see what I mean? Or natural, or would I say, artificial? Because they're so well molded into all the box that society has put for them, that it's just
Right.
hard to break that box open, no matter no matter what guru they go to, no matter what psychic they go to. You see what I mean? It's just
Mm-hmm.
hard to break because the, of that fear we talked about at the beginning, of that fear of walking in the dark and finding themselves. You see what I mean? As
Mm-hmm.
for me, I can only talk from my experience.
Mm-hmm.
you know I know that as a child, I always knew who I was. I always knew what I came to do. I was always considered, a bit weird. You see what I mean? A bit too advanced for my age, a bit too advanced in my thoughts and my, you know, I was 6 years old. I went to Catholic school. I spent all my school years in Catholic school, and then the nun told me that okay, there was Adam and Eve, and they had two boys, and then the boys married girls, and I'm like, wait, what are you telling me there? Where the girl come from? Because you just said that Adam and Eve were the first one, and the nun just told me you should not question these things. And that just made a rebel out of me because nothing they told me made sense. You know, I spent all
Definitely.
this year in Catholic school questioning every single thing that was told to me, from religion to history to Christopher Columbus, to none of that made sense to me. So I think, like I said before, I don't know the word in English, but it's a predisposition, so I was destined to be the way I am, I was destined to know exactly what I came here for, because, there was not one time of my life where I remember, being so molded into these boxes that I just couldn't come out of it.
You
No,
never
I
had to
never
break away.
accepted.
You were
I
always
never
in your own
accepted to
corner.
be put in those boxes. So
And,
it's weird because, and that's why I say predisposition, because in the family that I come from, there's not one person like me. You know?
and that's a
So
terrific thing when basically you spoke about it, even though your parents or your mom thought it was okay, weird, okay, strange, okay, different, but there was still, I'm guessing, there was some discomfort, but there was still support and acceptance eventually.
especially from my father,
Mm-hmm.
especially from my father, and I think I give thanks for him because he didn't understand, but he wanted to see what would be the result of that,
Right.
of trusting that she knows what she's doing, she knows what she's here for, and a lot of time he even had to get into arguments with my mom because of me, because she did not accept that, you should just let her walk her path, and then, a lot of times he had to say, what if we just let her do it? you know,
Instead of fighting the
um,
current, let it run.
exactly, exactly.
That is so beautiful. And now that you've translated that into an adult, it's still talking about, just daring to dream and daring to live your purpose. And,
Yeah.
you just talked about traveling all over the world. Have you just, again, even if you know exactly who you are, did you ever think that, your personal truth would bring you to all these wonderful places and, meet all these wonderful people and impact so many thousands of people? Did you ever set out, to have that much impact, or did it just, hey,
No,
happen?
no, as a young person, not specifically. But yes, as I'm growing, I thought that, the more I travel, the more I will, find those realities that I could easily identify to, which was exactly the case. And I just don't want to stop doing it. It's just such an amazing thing to do, to travel and realize that, okay, this conception that you were grown to believe that it's the reality, it is the truth. It's just one grain of sand on the ocean, on the beach, you know? You're not alone on this planet. You're not alone in this galaxy, in this universe. So stop believing that your ways is the ultimate truth.
We can always
You
learn
know?
from each other.
Of course. Of course. And that's the beauty of life. Every day is a chance to grow.
The growth is painful for some people. Just stepping
Yeah,
out of
it
that
is.
mold, because some people take ownership of like, okay, I want something different, but
Mm-hmm.
how bad do you want it? And I'm wondering
Yeah.
if you can think about the growth and, the discomfort of growth.
Yeah, yeah. They're not realizing they're the one hurting their own self by remaining so attached to the concepts of yesterday.
Because we're so used to doing things the same way. Basic example, when you want to tell someone, oh, I feel bad when, every time I have, let's just say like a McDonald's burger, because it always gives me gas. Like, all right, just stop eating McDonald's. Yeah, but,
Exactly.
well, you put, it's like if I take away your reason to complain, it's like me attacking your soul or something. But
Yeah,
it's a
no.
really kooky example, but I can take it on so many levels. It's like, oh, I've been working this job for 20 years. It's like, it's like, I'm getting no rewards, no raise whatsoever. It's like, okay, did you ask for a raise? Well, no, but it's like, okay, or did you look for another job? Well, no, but it's like, okay, so stop complaining.
Yeah, yeah. Not even in thoughts do they even imagine that they can access it.
It's all about what
So
we tell ourselves because we're so used to the
exactly,
same internal dialogue.
exactly.
Um, for me, I'm gonna ask a personal question. I
Hmm.
talked a lot about um, when I had, how am I put this? Um, I'm trying to say this because like you, it's a very big exchange. For me, for a long time, I had to wrestle with feeling like a hypocrite sometimes because you give so much of yourself and you're trying to put so much joy in other people's lives. When you're inside of yourself, you're sad, you're crying, you're raging. And I'm
Yeah.
wondering, like, how do we come to terms with, being disappointed with ourselves or being, ashamed of how we feel? How can we rise above that? How do you work with forgiveness? I'm not sure if you've experienced that in your workshops.
Yeah, sure, sure. I think the best way to do that for me, I've gone through it too, and the best and simplest way to go through it is to just live in the now.
Okay.
Because what tomorrow was is not today. If you were, mad with someone yesterday, why should you keep that madness into tomorrow? You see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
You are just really blocking yourself from opening, doors to positivity, to blessings, and it's just simple. Just live in the now, just just accept that it happened. You cannot go back in the past to correct anything. The present is the only time you have. So make it better now. you
Work
know
on the now.
Work on the now because that's the only time you have. And don't work on the future neither. Hey, tomorrow I'll make it better. No, make it better now because
Now,
tomorrow is not guaranteed.
now is all we have.
Yeah.
Um, just making a quick side note on that one, because we talked a lot about the people we surround ourselves with, and you also talked about the
Hmm.
fact that some people don't want to change, and you actually spoke on that in regards to maybe some people you already know to your core that they're not going to put in the time, investment, or thought into changing. How,
Hmm.
for those people who are listening here and who are saying that, you know what, it hurts to have to distance myself from these people. It hurts to create that separation. How
Hmm.
do we help them, take that leap in terms of realizing that, you know what, you're gonna have to because this person is not serving you. How do we speak to those insecurities?
Um, I just believe that people should learn to be comfortable with themselves first, and it's something that a lot of people, it's hard for them to do that, to be comfortable with oneself because
Mm-hmm.
they see so many negative aspects of their own self that they just don't want to look at the mirror, but yet again, that's the only way. That's the only way in order to how would I say, to detach. You see what I mean? And for different people, it would be different tools to be used to access those. How would I say that? Those personal beauties inside of us. Some people, for me, traveling is something that helps a lot.
Okay.
Because and traveling alone, you see what I mean? It's not
Mm-hmm.
like a girl's trip or a boy's trip, where you just drink alcohol and just forget it, and then tomorrow morning it hits you again. No,
Mm-hmm.
you know, it's really because traveling is about meeting new people, meeting new realities, and seeing the reflection of you in those experiences. So for me, it's one tool, but for some people, it will be different tools. I'm not sure what. I cannot enumerate it because
No,
I can
obviously,
only speak for
obviously,
myself.
obviously.
Um, but definitely there are many tools. To be able to face oneself, to accept to accept the negativity, turn the page, and see the beauty in oneself.
No.
Yeah.
I'm genuinely taking notes. You're not seeing me on this, but I'm genuinely taking notes. This is important for me. I learn from every single one, and this is such a great way to kick off the new year with with this wonderful. Let's not call it a resolution, but a growth process because this is
Yes.
very important.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
I'm not asking for a long ass, like, just a quick freebie on a yoga class, but for those of us who want to, just initiate ourselves into, better methods and better practices of stillness, any tips that you can give us, for morning rituals, or how do we practice stillness?
Don't take your phone in the morning,
Oh, that's a big one. Okay.
That's a big one, because this is the more time is evolving, the more the system or the society, like I talked about, those boxes are creating more ways to stay for us to stay away from our true selves. So just wake up in the morning and be grateful for the breath you take, every morning, because it's not guaranteed again. You wake up, you breathe. It's a gift. It's a huge gift. A lot of people don't wake up. you know, um, and just breathe consciously, because a lot of people are just going by, not breathing. You know, they just, sometimes, they stress and then they just take a big, that's it, but they're not consciously breathing in a rhythmic way. Just to me, the breath takes us everywhere we want to go.
Really?
You see what I mean? That's the whole. I can say it's a secret because it has been revealed to us yogis and meditators and spiritualists.
No kidding.
But the breath is, this is the first thing you did when you came out of your mother's womb. This is the last thing you will do. So this is where vitality, this is where spirituality, everything that is your essence, this is where it lies, in the breath. So stillness can only come from the breath. Anything else that I could tell you, I could say, okay, go take a walk, go jog, go this, go that. But it all comes back to the breath.
We need to breathe.
As simple as that.
Okay.
This is the fundamental of life. It's the breath.
Conscious intent through breathing.
Breath. Exactly.
Wow. This is like, okay.
No matter how you can face the breath, but it's the breath. It resumes to the breath.
We put in some time and intent and conscience into our breathing. Stay away from the phones. And then we take the time to breathe. Because it starts and it ends with a breath.
As simple as that.
Give me a second.
Taking notes.
I'm breathing. Everybody, let's take 2 seconds to breathe.
Yes, consciously.
Exhale. Wow. There's so much tremendous energy and tremendous insight into this wonderful conversation. Makeda, I cannot thank you enough for this wonderful time. I'm sorry because it's such a wonderfully heartfelt and emotional thing for me, because it's something that throughout all these conversations, you never know where they're going to go. When you come out the other end with such richness and truth into a being that you respect, you look up to, and you definitely identify as a tremendous source of wonderful kindness and generosity and tremendous self, someone who really exemplifies what it is to live out their own personal awesomeness within the world. So I want to celebrate you from everything that you do through all your art and all your wonderful, wonderful content, amazing photos, tremendous poses. It's amazing. We'll definitely talk about, the entire yoga thing, down the line. Open invitation. Anytime you want to be back, please.
Oh, it's such a pleasure to talk to you, Olivier. I mean, from the time Nike told me, I want you to be part of that podcast. I'm like, whatever Nike said, I'm in.
I appreciate it. Oh, she's such a sweetheart.
I have so much respect and love
for that. Such a sweetheart. Such a wonderful person. Out of nowhere, we connected through the randomness of the universe, and she's been such a great friend and supporter of the podcast throughout. But running tradition on the podcast, I'm a wonderful thought, quote, sonnet, one of your poetry, just anything, a call to action that anyone on the podcast can wake up tomorrow, taking that next step towards the next level. What could we leave them with?
Infinite possibilities. That's what I go by. There's infinite possibilities. Only yourself can limit yourself. And once you believe that the possibilities are infinite, then you're limitless. Not even the sky could be your limit.
Guys,
You're limitless. Because energy is everything. You are energy. You're not this physical body. So that is what makes you limitless, because you are limitless energy.
let's keep on striving towards that. Let's reveal
Yes.
ourselves into our own personal truth towards our own limitless self.
Yes.
Thank you so much for this wonderful time. Just to connect with you on the interwebs. Where can anyone find you if the listeners want to get in touch with you?
Basically, I'm a bit everywhere, but I'm mostly present on Instagram. On Makeda. I do have a Twitter account that I never sign into. I'm also a little bit on Facebook. Again, Makeda. And I have my website, which is mafroyoga.com. It's my website. It's about my online yoga classes, my yoga mats, my art prints, my originals, and whatever else will come in the near future. But like I said, the best way is through Instagram.
Not a problem. I'll definitely link all your presences and all the proper links on the blog post once this goes live. Guys,
Great.
This has been
Thank
a tremendous conversation with Makeda. Oh my God, I can't believe this just happened. It was like such a long time coming, but it's been a gem of a conversation. Truly an honor, a privilege, and a thrill.
I enjoyed every second of it, and I think my son knew that I had to take time for this, and he just slept like 3 minutes before. 3 minutes after 30, because we were supposed to talk at 8:30. At 8:33 he slept. I'm like, that's just perfection.
See, that's cooperation. That's perfection. On the dot. Kisses to the little one. All the best to you and yours. Say hi to your husband, because I know he's also manning the duties.
Yes.
But I can only wish you nothing but celebration of self and personal truth throughout everything, but love and light, sending you nothing but wonderful warmth and kindness and success, all your ongoing projects. Guys, This has been another episode of the Awaken the Husband podcast. My guest, Makeda. Definitely hit her up on Instagram. You will be amazed and you will be energized into the limitless possibilities of the universe. You connect with her throughout all of her web presences. But again, look out for the blog post. You'll definitely have all the links. I am your host, Olivier Day, from Kazakh, Quebec, all the way back to Haiti. Sending love to back home. Guys, stay blessed, stay resilient. First episode of the Awaken the Awesome podcast for 2020 in the can. Look us up for us. Please, guys, give us some ratings on iTunes. We do appreciate it. Stay blessed, stay resilient, and please, as always do, stay awesome. Ciao, guys.
Much love, Olivier.
This has been another episode of the Awaken the Awesome podcast. We do love to get your feedback, so please drop us a line. Our email address, awakentheawesome@gmail.com. Also, if you haven't already, please hop on over to Apple Podcasts and subscribe, give us a rating, and leave us a review. We always do appreciate your support, and thank you for listening. Stay awesome.